Hey guys, and welcome to this video. Gareth here. So in a previous video, I discussed the graphic design brief, what it is and why it is important to the design process. In this video, I'm going to expand on this further and discuss what makes a good graphic design brief. Now, not every brief will be the same. Terminology and structure will vary, but they should all cover the same criteria. A typical design brief should include all the relevant information a designer will need in order to understand the context, the requirements, and the needs of the client or project. Here is an example of a typical design brief, and here you can see how the criteria is structured in this example with all the supplied information. Looking at this example, we can see the criteria covered as follows: project brief title, client and contact details, project client overview, what and why, audience, objectives and goals, look and feel, tone and manner, straplines and unique selling points, likes and dislikes, competitors, strategic considerations, existing branding or marketing collateral, how will success be measured, budget, timeline, and deliverables. If you wish to take a closer look at this, you can find a downloadable link in the description. So let's now take a closer look at each of the criteria. The brief project title should be a title that sums up the whole project. The client and contact details should include client details and point of contact. The project client overview should be a short paragraph about the project or the client, who they are and what they do. This serves to get a good idea of who one is designing for and to get a good perspective of the industry sector and the context. What and why should be a brief statement of what exactly the design is going to be and what the design is going to be used for. Audience should clarify who the design is set to target. In the brief, you can require specifics such as gender, age, salary, professions, and personality. This will reveal exactly who the target audience is. This section can also touch on what the audience cares about. This will give a better insight into what appeals to the audience, which can help influence a more targeted solution. Objectives and goals should state what the project should achieve with the design. Look and feel, tone and manner should be a few key words that the client might have in mind that they feel may describe the nature of the design and sum up what they want the design to be like. Straplines and unique selling points should be any lines or catchphrases that are currently in place or are intended to be used. This may hint at a tone of voice they currently use or want to be consistent with. Unique selling points can help a designer understand the business in more detail, which could help influence the design in the right direction. Likes and dislikes should be a list of references the client likes or dislikes. This can request specifics like colors, styles, and brands. These may also be references the client might have already researched themselves. This can help influence the design process and also help avoid certain visual elements or styles they do not like or want to avoid. Competitors should be a list of competitor research. Strategic considerations should state any commercial, marketing, awareness, or disruptive goals they wish to achieve with the design. Existing branding or marketing collateral should specify any current visual design already in place, for example, brand guidelines, advertising assets, print material they currently use and want to be consistent with. How will success be measured should state how the client plans to measure the success of the design work. This may suggest any focus points, priorities, or areas the project will need to be particularly strong in. If a quote has not already been issued, budget should state how much the client is looking to spend on the design. Timeline should state any milestones across the progress of the project and the deadline when all work will need to be completed by. And finally, deliverables should specify a clear list of what exactly is required. In this instance, it's a checkbox of design, digital, print, and assets, which will outline everything that will be needed. So with all this criteria covered, a designer can then take the time to read and fully understand the details in the brief and the challenges that lay ahead. From this, a designer will be well equipped to begin the design process. So what makes for a good design brief is quality of information captured with the right questions. Now, in the previous episode, I touched on how a design brief will either be an open brief or a closed brief. In the next video, I'm going to be showcasing some examples of these two types of graphic design briefs and discuss their differences in more depth. So I'll see you in the next video.